So whose fault is it that the world is messed up today? Men will say it's the women will say it's the men. It'll be a circular back and forth, finger pointing, until it boils over into what we like to call a gender war. Hello, everyone. I'm Libra Linder, and welcome to my channel, where I plan on just giving a balanced view on an array of issues that is affecting our community today. I am happily married to my high school sweetheart. I'm a father, retired combat veteran. I obtained my degree in both psychology and biology, and I am currently a departmental director at a healthcare facility. Okay, so I'm constantly working towards the betterment of our community. I'm particularly devoted to doing everything within my power to help improve the current state of our Black youth. I want to work towards an increase in every indicator that measures quality of life for our future generations. So for anyone asking, what's my angle? Why am I here? I'm fortunate. I was fortunate enough to have two parents that were loving and supportive. I didn't get to where I am today just on my own, but also with the help of the people around me, and especially those that paved the way before me. So for those around me and those that will come after me, it is my duty to help create an environment more conducive for them to thrive. Okay. In the Marine Corps, we had a saying of leave the environment a better place than what you found. So that's definitely what I plan on doing for our Black youth. Okay. Now you know who I am and what I plan to do. Let's just get into the topic. It is my thoughts that if the community is broken, it is on the men to fix it. And I'll go through that and show you my line of thinking in a series of thoughts. First and foremost, we'll start off talking about the overall state of the country. We'll talk about how we can repair a broken community. And finally, we'll go into why it's men's responsibility to fix it. All right, so let's look at America. All right, according to a Gallup poll, an overwhelming majority of Americans are dissatisfied with the current state of our country. Okay, several other major polls also indicated that a majority of Americans think the country is going in the wrong direction. And this is not simply because of the pandemic either. With the exception of a few outliers, for the better part of the last 50 years, Americans don't like where the country is, and we don't like where the country is headed. So let's just take into effect historically how Black Americans have been treated. And then you look at actual studies that show in times of crises, be it a pandemic, epidemic, recession, or depression, whenever these crises hit America, Black people are affected far worse than any other population. Hence the old adage, when America has a splinter, Black America needs open heart surgery, something like that, cold pneumonia, whatever it is. All right, this is not a woe is me type of moment. This is something that research actually shows. So it should come as no surprise that Black folks are even more disappointed in the current state of the union than anyone else. All right, so if our country and our communities are consistently producing dissatisfied and pessimistic citizens, it stands to reason that the communities which make up this nation are unhealthy. Something is broken. How do we fix it? Are we going to leave our community in a better state than we inherited it? Are we going to ignore it and pretend there is no issue? Or are we going to acknowledge there is an issue, but hope someone else fixes it? Are we just going to sit and complain about it? Let it continue to erode until it implodes? What type of community do we plan on handing over to future generations? How are we going to fix it? Obviously, there's more than one single issue that's plaguing our community, and there is no silver bullet to correct any single issue whatsoever. But we do know that strong, intact communities are those communities are able to resolve and overcome even the most complex issues. So how do we have strong communities in the first place? Strong communities require a myriad of competent individuals. They require a plethora of motivators, innovators, entrepreneurs, and solid leaders who can actually inspire a group to work together to accomplish a common goal. So strong communities are made up of strong, competent individuals. So how do we maximize our pool of competent individuals? What can we do to produce as many as possible? It starts with intact traditional families. Now, this is not an exercise in saying all other types of families are inferior and therefore they should be mistreated. That's counterproductive, and I would never be for saying that. But what I am saying is, in our society, functional, intact, traditional families produce these individuals at a higher rate. Why do I say this? Two things real quick. One, common sense. All right. You have a household that has a loving mother. She's nurturing, and she's supportive of her child. She loves that child with all her might, and she'll do anything for that baby. All right. Add to that a father who's also loving to the child, and mother, and dedicated to providing and protecting his family, and working in unison together to give the child the best life possible. That child will benefit more with both parents working in unison as opposed to either working apart. All right. So that's first. Second, let's just look at what the studies show. They show that solid, intact, traditional families have a significantly positive impact on a child's present and future well-being. The National Institute of Health, where I get I like to look for most of my statistics and studies, shows that children coming from traditional families are less likely to have learning disabilities, ADHD, be abused or neglected. They're less likely to live in poverty, less likely to be incarcerated, and they're also less likely to divorce in the future. It also shows that traditional families are more likely to be involved in their community, and the higher the percentage of traditional families in the community, the more likely let me put this up. A high percentage of married families in a community contributes to future upward economic mobility of all children in that community. So high percentages of married families in a community contributes to the future upward economic mobility of all children in that community. So studies and common sense show that intact traditional families will produce more intact individuals capable of creating strong communities. Okay. As I said earlier, it goes without saying the community is broken. But most of the issues you see plaguing Black Americans are merely symptoms of these broken communities. I think there was a study by R.J. Sampson. It showed that citizens had or community members just having a lack of trust in their own community enhances chronic violence. Okay, so it's one thing to just talk about it, but how do we repair a broken community? Okay, we need to cultivate competent individuals dedicated to creating and maintaining a healthy individual. As we said earlier, these individuals come from intact, traditional families. Now, since the dawn of time, it has been, and it should always be, the responsibility of men to build the family. Since the advent of civilization, it has been and always will be the responsibility of men to maintain communities. That's why it's cringe when I hear adult males say the community is ruined because of the women. Do women have imperfections? Of course, they're human. But dysfunctional women coming from a dysfunctional community are the product of that dysfunctional community and not the cause of it. Because it is the action or inaction of men that determines the functionality of the community, it's pointless to go back and forth with the women. Hence the title of this video. There is no gender war, only a broken community that men need to fix. Why? Why has it been and why will it always be the responsibility of men? All right, bear with me and let me just break it down Barney style. I want everybody to be able to understand this, okay? We're so technologically advanced that we forget we're one of millions of different species of organisms. While we may be the most advanced species, we're the only species that overcomplicates life by working against our own biology. We're the smartest bunch of dummies the world has ever seen. Okay, so regardless of your species, all living organisms share two biological imperatives. And biological imperatives are just the needs of a living organism to basically propagate its existence. So what makes us not go extinct? And that's survival and reproduction. Even bacteria perform this. Survival and reproduction. Both are equally important because without either, we cease to exist. All right. Both are different, but both are necessary. And let me just say this about differences. Please pay attention to the origin of most of your social points of contention, your ism, your sexism, racism, classism, all of these isms, they share a common theme that I've noticed. So you have two characteristics. I don't care if it's skin color, gender role, your sexual orientation. You just take two characteristics. Both are different. Because they are different, one has to be better than the other. The one who possesses the superior characteristic is justified in mistreating those that possess characteristics deemed inferior. I'll say it again. Two characteristics. They're different. Because they are different, one has to be better than the other. The one who possesses the superior characteristic is justified in mistreating those that possess characteristics deemed inferior. Oh, you don't have blue skin, so you get no government grants or loans to help build wealth and capital to improve your community. Listen here, woman, I work. All you do is stay and take care of the home. Therefore, I can run the streets and have babies on you all I want. Two different characteristics. That's the common thing. Two different characteristics. Because they are different, one has to be better than the other. The one who possesses the superior characteristic is justified in mistreating those that possess characteristics deemed inferior. Please just pay attention to that and you'll realize a lot of the discontent and civil unrest between different groups are just rooted in that stupid thing. Okay, so regardless of how you try to justify it, the large majority of functional people are not going, or they're going to combat mistreatment, period. All right, so let's get back to the two biological imperatives. All right, you have survival and reproduction, both equal, because without either, like I said before, will cease to exist. Okay, men and women play a part in both, but their share of the responsibility in each differs dramatically. Let's just take reproduction. Both genders, yes, we both play a role, but come on, man, we have to admit we got the far better deal in the reproductive imperative. Okay, in fact, we've looked forward to fulfilling our obligation in reproduction. So much so we're willing to practice repeatedly. So when the time comes, we want to make sure that we are fulfilling our duty to mankind. All right. Women, it'll be an understatement to say that you get the short end of the stick when it comes to reproduction. All right. You're carrying a living being for 9 months. You're going through the hormonal changes, the pain, discomfort, the mental anguish. Not to mention that you're putting your life on the line just to ensure our continued existence. It's a huge burden, but it's the most precious gift you can give to mankind. And for that, I'm greatly appreciative of women's role. Even in ancient times, we understood women's sacrifice for our existence. That's why women were exalted. That's why they were revered, because there was a deep appreciation for their role in keeping our species from extinction. I got to say, today's men, we've just reduced it down to merely a bodily function, knowing damn well if that was on us, we would cease to exist. That's how I see the rapture coming. The rapture ain't gonna be no fire. It ain't gonna be no earthquakes. It's gonna be God coming down and say, you know what? Now men are in charge of carrying that baby for 9 months, and all men are gonna say is, well, you know what? Mankind has had a great run. So yeah, that's it. We out. So just as reproduction is mainly on the women, survival is on men. That's on us, period. So what is needed for survival? Provisions necessary to sustain life and protection from threats that drain life. Provisions necessary to sustain life, protection from threats that drain life. Biologically and physiologically, men are built to provide and protect. So you could say that's our bodily function. Why do you think we have twice the arm strength as women? Why do we think we have bigger fists, more muscle mass, more endurance, more aggression? Why do you think men have a higher level of resistance to mental health issues due to stress? Why do you think men are more prone to inherit psychological resilience? Because we are built for protection, not just protection, but what about provisions? Do you think provisions are just given to you? Oh, you know what? I'll go out and I'll get a job, and you know what? I'll be able to. You short-sighted son of a bitch. All right, you have to compete for provisions. Competition always involves aggression, and most of the time, all the time, really, it's going to involve some violence. All right, you think America just popped up out of the blue? Look at the history of this country. Look at the history of it. Look at the violence it took to shape our nation. You think that violence has stopped? No. It takes violence to procure the provision and violence to protect those provisions. You think we have military bases and naval vessels, and you think they're all strategically placed around the globe just for play? Oh, you think it's just for defense, right? That we've stopped actively procuring provisions because we live in America and we have all the resources to be self-sustaining. We have no need to attack other countries for necessary provisions, right? We need provisions. We'll just, invest in some crypto, build our money, blah, blah, blah. As a retired Marine, I'll just leave you with a quote from George Orwell. People sleep peaceably in their beds at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. So if you have any objection to men being the providers and the protectors we're built to be, you have bigger issues than a gender war because you're fighting against your own biology. Our women cannot reproduce viable offspring without provisions and protection. In fact, look at the stress. Look at the effect stress has on a woman's reproductive health. Look at what stress does to a fetus in the womb of a woman that's stressed out. Just look at what it does and tell me if they were built to provide and protect and reproduce all at the same time. So when a man selects a woman for his partner and she responds in kind, what he is telling her that he will provide and protect for her. Okay. Civilization progressed when men realized that networking with other men would optimize our ability to survive. Together, we could acquire provisions even better, and together we could provide even more of a defense, which enables us to build a more conducive environment for reproduction. That also removes a threat and gives us another ally. And also, we don't have to be a senator, firefighter, economist, welder, physician, home builder, all of these at the same time, since we're working together. All right. So since we are working together, that requires that we put forth rules and regulations, customs and courtesies that we all abide by that are conducive to our survival. We have to make sure every individual in our group behaves in accordance to what is best for the group's survival, to include holding those accountable that don't, correcting, punishing, ostracizing, executing. This is your community. Because it is your program you have put in place to fulfill your responsibility in the survival of our species. And if it is your program, then you are responsible to providing guidance and overall leadership in navigating it. How stupid is it for you to invent something and then have someone else tell you how to run it? How dumb is it for you to put something in place and have someone else tell you how to use it? This is your program, and it's up to you to provide the guidance and leadership of how we're going to navigate it. And this is our community that we are using to provide protection. So when it breaks down, it is our responsibility. So instead of constantly complaining about women who are a reflection of the community you've built, Black men, why don't we work to become the best provider, protector possible? Network with other men to enhance our ability to provide and protect. Commit to a deserving woman and build a traditional Black family. Raise our offspring to be the antithesis of what it is we are constantly complaining about. You don't like the way that a woman is unsubmissive, she's not feminine. You know what? Create that in the next generation. And the next father sits there and he produces a young man that can marry a daughter and he knows to provide and protect. Just raise your offspring with a sense of duty and pride towards the community that we build. Again, there is no silver bullet to completely eliminate the issues in our community, but family forming is the foundation of building a strong community. Too many Black men have decided to forego their obligations to the next generation. Too many have blamed women for our demise. We have to realize that there is no gender war. There's simply a broken community that men need to fix. Thank you for listening, everyone. I am Libra Linder. I have been married for 26 years, so I will be giving out advice and my take on what it takes to not only build a strong family, but how to last throughout the trials and tribulation of marriage. Like I said, it's 26 years. Yes, have there been some tough times? Of course. But through communication techniques, through patience, through being willing to guide, and lead your family, it can be successful. My grandparents were literally till death did they part. My parents have been married for 45 years. And here I am, third generation here, and I'm looking to do the same. So stay tuned. Again, I am focused on building our Black community to greatness. I love our people, and I'm a strong believer in the stronger the Black nation becomes, the stronger our America becomes. So thank you for listening. Stay tuned.